I'm sure you're all familiar with Red Mist, a creepypasta about Squidward ending his existence on Bikini Bottom. The story is a lost episode creepypasta, one of the most popular and iconic ones of all time. In this story, Squidward puts on a live show playing his clarinet, the audience hates it, their eyes become bloody and hyper-realistic, and Squidward goes home sad. After a lot of hate and weird occurrences, Squidward becomes very disturbed and a lot of disturbing imagery is shown. He then ends his existence on Bikini Bottom. Allegedly, this tape was seen by an internet Nickelodeon, when instead they were supposed to be seeing a test of the episode Fear of a Krabby Patty. If you want to find the alleged tape on YouTube, you can, and a few other websites, but it's clear that they're just poor recreations of the story. All the footage is just reused from SpongeBob episodes with some poor effects and bad voice work done over them. But what if I told you that a very faithful recreation of Red Mist is out there, and it's brand new? Well, today we're going to take a look at Red Mist Retake. The video starts off with a warning. Everything listed here applies to my video as well, so viewer discretion is advised. It starts off with the title card of Red Mist, but doesn't show anyone who was actually responsible for making this episode. The video isn't animated frame by frame, but instead is more in the style of a storyboard, with there just being still frames that tell the story. In a lot of ways, this actually adds to the horror of this video. After playing the clarinet for a little while, Squidward gets a knock on his door and checks it out. He then sees the Irish fish, asking if he'd be interested in something. The video doesn't use voice acting, but for the sake of my video and the people who are listening to this, I'm gonna add my own voice acting. Hey, would you be interested? Not interested. Squidward then walks away. But the door knocks again.
I said,
please save us from the Red Mist. The Red Mist is coming. After this very bizarre occurrence, Squidward just looks on in shock as the man disappears, but then brushes it off. He continues to practice his clarinet, but gets annoyed when he hears SpongeBob and Patrick playing outside.
will you two barnacle heads shut up? I've got a concert to practice for.
It cuts to SpongeBob and Patrick just standing there until something strange happens. As you'll see now, this video takes a couple creative liberties when it comes to the source material, and I'm all for it. It gives sort of this analog horror Mandela catalog effect with these glitched out versions of SpongeBob and Patrick, and upon initial viewing, it freaks me out. We then see the crowd coming to see Squidward's show. As everyone's waiting, an announcement is heard. Ladies and gentlefish, Bikini Bottom Community Center proudly presents Squidward Tentacles!
Thank you all for coming here, and I really hope we'll have a great show together here tonight. Right.
As is in Red Mist, the crowd hates it and they leave. However, this version of the story completely negates the hyper-realistic eyes, which I think is a good thing, because it's a very silly part of the original story. Squidward is left there, crushed, as the background fades to black. Squidward sadly returns home and gets into bed. We then see the Red Mist's arrival. While in bed, Squidward sees a weird red light emanating through his window. After this, he looks directly into the camera and smiles. However, his face starts to distort. We then see the first occurrence of one of the quote-unquote dead kids from the original story. On the bottom left of the screen, you can see the number 1. While most of the gore is blurred out, you can still tell what's going on here. After this, we're shown Squidward's iconic Red Mist face, which looks even more disturbing here. His room completely disappears. Instead of his wall, there's a giant doorway, or something like that. What looks to be a very strange and distorted version of Squidward appears, for only a second, which completely terrifies Squidward. He cowers in fear as it gets closer and closer. And then we see another one of the dead kids. Number 2 this time. This entity continues to approach Squidward, and then we return back to his house. We see Squidward's shotgun, and then the third child. We hear a cocking sound, and then the screen turns red. We then see Squidward's corpse, and it's drawn in pretty disturbing detail. We hear SpongeBob calling out for Squidward and then screaming his name. As we see Squidward's head blacked out against fire in the background. Potentially, this suggests that he went to hell after dying, or something along those lines. It really reminds me of the intruder from the Squintus McGrimpus Five Nights at Freddy's VHS series. We hear the sound of an ambulance and then see SpongeBob looking off into the sunset alone. Patrick then approaches him. Hey buddy.
Hi there, Patrick.
Listen, sometimes a fish does not want to live, and it can be for any reason. I'm sorry it had to be Squidward. Just know I'm here for you, bud. SpongeBob's face is absent in this one frame for whatever reason.
Thank you, Patrick. You know, I really appreciate being your friend, and I never want to lose you. I wish I could have said this to Squidward too, let alone be a better friend.
As SpongeBob continues to talk, weird things keep happening to his face. I get you, buddy. I get you. They both look off into the sunset together.
Patrick? You know, I'm keeping this conversation going for a long time. Who knows for how long? Thank you for telling me what you just said earlier. I really needed it.
What thing? It then fades to black and leaves us on a somewhat melancholy happy ending until we see the first victim emerge. Then number 3, and then number 2. To me, this represents the souls of these children and how twisted and deformed they've become after meeting their horrific fates. Each one's got a very distinct look, with the first one looking just like a creepy boy, the third one being a strange eyeball creature, and the second looking like a strange Mickey Mouse sort of character. And then that's it. That's how it ends. If we look at the description, we see that Vibing Leaf says, since September 2nd, 2022, I've been working on this project, and honestly, while it often became exhausting, I overall really had fun on it. And yeah, I might also apologize for the lack of animation. That might be the biggest downside of this entire thing. But regardless, I still hope you enjoyed it. This video is really something special, and I highly suggest that you watch the full thing. The link is in the description. Please do. I'd also highly recommend subscribing to Vibing Leaf while you're at it. Since I was a kid, I always wanted to see someone actually realistically take on this story and make something that wasn't just a bunch of compiled SpongeBob clips and poorly done effects. And this is that exact thing. It's really well done. But the twist makes it so much better. The lack of hyper-realistic eyes and the other horror additions really just add to this experience so much. And then it ends on such a sweet note with SpongeBob and Patrick's conversation. It's so real and almost heart-wrenching in a sense, and it's done perfectly. It even adds classic SpongeBob humor with Patrick completely forgetting about what he was talking about, showing those rare moments of Patrick truly being an intellectual. I personally hope that we see more lost episode creepypastas in this style, because Vibing Leaf's got a real talent for it. The vast majority of the drawings look like they could be straight out of the early seasons of SpongeBob, and it's pretty impressive. Adding the aspect of the monstrous souls of the children is also a really good touch, because in the original story, they're just kind of there for shock value. They don't really add anything to it.
Oh my, okay.
That was a dead kid.
Oh god.
This is a truly amazing video, and I hope to see more of the style. And I'd really love to hear your feedback in the comments. What do you think of this video? Would you want to see more like it? All the feedback you've got for this, share it with Vibing Leaf in their comments section, because they're really the ones who deserve all the attention on this. Vibing Leaf, I salute you. Well, that's about it from me. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.